guys, what's up? It's your man Pete, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different, a little bit special. You could call it a weekend special, something a little bit different from my normal real estate videos. Well, this is sort of related to real estate since I spend so much time in my car driving around all across the city, and it's also where I generate a lot of ideas for my videos while driving in the car heading to appointments and meeting my clients. And this one just sort of came to me because I enjoy driving quite a bit. I mean, obviously I don't like being stuck in traffic, but for those of you who also enjoy driving, you enjoy vehicles, you enjoy the feel of the road, and of course the beautiful scenery and the amazing autumn weather that we've been getting with the gorgeous fall colors and the leaves still hanging on. I just wanted to recommend a few great roads that you guys could head out on and drive around the city. You know, if you're a little bored and you're running out of activities to do, I would highly recommend that you just get in the car, pack the kids, grab a coffee, maybe get yourself a pumpkin spiced latte to set the mood, take the dog, and just get in the car and drive without going anywhere in particular. I find that we're just rushing around the city, doing our thing, working, meeting people, that we just don't get the opportunity to soak in the beauty and the nature that we have all around us. And of course, it's great to enjoy the weather and our environment before it becomes tundra, freezing cold here. And why not? Since there's so much less traffic nowadays, you can just zip around the city, go wherever you want, casually, leisurely. So you can do this in the early morning on the weekend, you can do this in the late evening. On some of these roads, it's actually even recommended to drive at nighttime. And while I know there are roads up north where we could really kick up the speed, really test out how fast our cars can go, but this video is designed for those of us who are living in the city, who have forgotten just how pretty it can be at this time of year. And for those of you who are new to the city, and for those of you who are thinking of coming here for a visit, or who are thinking of moving here permanently, this is a great video for you to learn the roads, to understand where a lot of the important landmarks are across the city, and just in general for those who enjoy driving. So we'll get right into that right after this, guys. You guys ready to go? I'm ready to go. Okay, so the first road I want to recommend is a little bit outside of the city. It's in Mississauga. And for those who don't spend a lot of time out west, Mississauga Road is a very interesting and beautiful road to drive on because there's not a lot of traffic. It's got beautiful scenery, lots of trees. And sometimes when I'm driving there, it feels like I'm making a car commercial because there's just leaves all around and they just kind of kick up into the air. And then of course, because I enjoy driving, that there's a lot of little nice roads and turns, and the lights are actually kind of spaced out. So you can go for pretty long stretches without hitting a red light. But you want to know what my favorite part of Mississauga Road is? The houses. There's some really beautiful mansions and really architecturally significant homes on Mississauga Road. Some of them are even estate sizes. You don't usually see this inside Toronto because big, nice estate type homes are usually tucked away and hidden somewhere. But meanwhile, in Mississauga, they're actually on the road, so you can admire it while you're driving down this road, and you can appreciate just some of the most beautiful and expensive homes in Mississauga. And if you go far north enough, it's actually where the Mississauga campus is for the University of Toronto too. So it is a major artery in Mississauga. Definitely check out Mississauga Road if you're in the West End, guys. It's a really nice drive. Okay, so now on to the next, Avenue Road and University Avenue. So this stretch of road goes from Highway 401 all the way down to the lake. And to me, this is one of the most interesting roads that you could drive on because there's so many historical landmarks, because you're passing by Upper Canada College and you're making that turn, and then you pass through Yorkville, which is obviously one of the most famous and expensive neighborhoods in Toronto. And then you catch a glimpse of the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, and the jutting crystal. Then you get through the old part of the city, such as Queen's Park and the University of Toronto, where all the monuments and history and all that stuff is there. And then as you go down on University Avenue, you go through some of the most famous hospitals in the entire city. And then if you keep going down, you've got embassies like the US Embassy on the right hand side, and then you pass through all the hotels like the famous Shangri-La Hotel. Through the business district, then you get to Union Station, and then if you go a little bit further south, you're down at the lake and Harbourfront. There is so much to see on this path and this road here. You definitely don't want to miss this one if you're going to be driving in Toronto. There's a little bit of slopes, there's a little bit of hills and turns. You can easily burn 30 to 40 minutes just driving down this road. So if you're into the traditional landmarks and looking at old buildings, that kind of thing, then this is definitely an awesome road you need to be driving down. Of course, you want to avoid the non-peak hours. So anytime early in the morning on the weekend or later in the evening, basically sunrise or sunset, those are beautiful times to go. Okay, and the next one is Yonge Street. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I like driving up and down Yonge Street because it's obviously the most important street in the entire city. It literally divides the city in half. And so a lot of people will say, why would you say Yonge Street? It's full of traffic, congestion, it's got so much construction going on, and there's only 2 lanes. You've got cyclists, you've got cars parked on the side. Yeah, believe it, cars parked on the side on a 2-way major street. And while Yonge Street is definitely not for everybody, it's definitely not for the faint of heart or young newbie drivers, but if you're someone who likes the challenge, who likes driving driving in and out of tight spaces while still being able to enjoy the sights, sounds, smells of a busy city. And so you definitely need to be very much awake and conscious when you're driving on Yonge Street, just so you don't damage your car or hurt someone. I would definitely recommend a smaller, more nimble sports car than a lumbering 7-seater SUV. And for a lot of people, they don't know this, but Yonge Street is actually the longest street in the whole world. So if you start at the lake and you drive north and you go all the way up past North York, you get to Richmond Hill, it just keeps going. I've never tried it myself, but I'll take Wikipedia's word for it. So for those of you who are visiting Toronto and you've actually driven on Yonge Street, you can always go back and tell your friends, hey, I drove on the longest street in the world. That's pretty cool, right? But going south is probably what's most attractive for people because you're gonna pass by some of the biggest landmarks. You're gonna get through Midtown and you're gonna get to Yonge and Bloor, which is pretty much the center of the world. And then as you go further downtown, you're gonna pass by Ryerson University and of course the famous Eaton Center. And then if you keep going, then you're gonna go through the central business district and then eventually reach the waterfront. There's a lot to see on any given day on Yonge Street. It is busy, so you really gotta pay attention, which is why coffee is important here. But I would recommend if you're going south to make a stop in Midtown, maybe grab yourself a coffee, get a nice ice cream or dessert, and just hang out and take in some of the scenery. Maybe even grab yourself a fancy burger. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about Rosedale Valley and Bayview Avenue. This, in my opinion, is one of the most underappreciated and unknown roads in Toronto because it's kind of hidden, it's tucked away. Not a lot of people actually know about it. And I only really started using this path about a few years ago for myself. But if you're coming up Yonge Street from downtown and you want to get back up north, what you'll do is you'll go past Bloor Street and get into an area called Rosedale. You'll swing a right and it takes you into this beautiful ravine valley where you're literally just surrounded and covered with trees. It's absolutely gorgeous. Where the roads are smooth, they're paved, there's lots of leaves flying around, and for a few moments there, it literally feels like you're not even in the city anymore. But I should warn you that the path is very short, and so you have to really take in that moment when you're there, where it's just you, the car, nature, and the road. It's really short, so you gotta pay attention, okay? But then once you come out of this tunnel of trees and ravines, all of a sudden, you're at Bayview Avenue, where it's bright, there's no more trees, it's completely wide open. That's when you wanna click your car into sport mode and gun it up the hill. That's also where the famous Evergreen Brickworks is, in case you wanna stop for a break. Toronto is notoriously a very flat place, and so you really have to cherish those steep, slopey, twisting, turning roads because we don't have very many of them. And then if you keep going north, then you pass through some of the most exclusive neighborhoods in the city, such as Leaside, Sunnybrook Hospital, and then of course the Bridle Path and Post Road, where you're gonna find some of the most expensive homes in the entire city. It's also where Drake lives, so when you drive by there, give him a wave and a hi. Okay, so now onto Lakeshore, which is the site where we annually host the Honda Indy Toronto, which used to be called the Molson Indy Toronto. And the stretch from Mimico in Etobicoke to about the CNE gates in Fort York is absolutely epic. There's a reason why this stretch is used for a race car track because it's just absolutely beautiful. And when you're on there, you could literally feel the energy and the history of this race. You know, all the famous drivers, Michael Andretti won the race 7 times. You could feel the history there. And it's also got some of the most famous landmarks too, such as Exhibition Place, Medieval Times for some of you who are still into that. It's got Ontario Place and the lake to the right, and then of course the famous CNE gates at the end. But hold on, it doesn't end there. If you keep going to the east on Lakeshore, you start getting into the downtown core. But now all of a sudden you're in an underground pass. You're under the Gardner Expressway. So it feels kind of like a tunnel. It's dark again all of a sudden. But this is where you'll catch a glimpse of the Scotiabank Arena, formerly the Air Canada Centre, the CN Tower, Sky Dome, Ripley's Aquarium, and even the Steam Whistle Brewery. So while it's a little bit hard to see, but at least there's an interesting view here. We're under the highway, which gives us a bit of a tunnel. For some reason, I really like tunnels. I don't know why. And if the traffic lights go your way, it's one of the coolest drives, and it's also where a lot of car commercials are shot as well too. So if you're into bridges, overpasses, tunnels, that type of thing, you're gonna like driving on Lakeshore Boulevard. And if you go further east, all the way to the beaches, then you end up at our famous Ashbridges Bay, which is our biggest beach in the city, and it's right at Lake Ontario. I would recommend taking a stop there, having a nice little stroll, taking in nature before getting back in your car. Okay, and last but not least, my favorite road to drive on during the fall time in Toronto with no traffic is the DVP in Gardner. What did you think I was gonna say? We take this road for granted sometimes on a daily basis because there's so much traffic, there's so much much congestion. But from a pure joy of driving point of view, you can't beat the DVP going south, because it's literally just full of trees and ravines and the beautiful fall colors. You even get a few bridges here and there. It's what driving through a city should look like. And man, during this time of year, it's literally one of the most breathtaking scenes if you have the chance to drive on here and enjoy it. Absolutely nothing beats driving the DVP going south in beautiful weather. You've got nice tunes in your car, and it's actually a little bit challenging to drive on because it's a 3-lane highway. It's fairly narrow, and then you've got a lot of up and down and twists and turns, and you kind of get to test out the muscle in your car by passing other cars. But you really want to be careful here because the speed limit is only 90 kilometers per hour. You could probably get yourself up to 100 to 110. It's not really known as a speed trap, but you didn't hear that from me. Honestly, going at 90 or 100 on this road feels a whole lot faster than it actually is. So then once you get further south, then the city's skyline starts to emerge. You see the CN Tower, you see some of our most tallest high-rises and condos, and then the lake starts to emerge too. So I would highly recommend that you get off on the Gardner Expressway so that you can stay close to the lake and watch as the downtown view pulls up right in front of you. It happens really quick, so you've got to pay attention. And then unlike your lakeshore view, you're getting into the core of downtown. You're gonna pass by the Scotiabank Arena, the CN Tower in close view, and of course the lake on the left side. And then if you go a little bit further west, then you're at Exhibition Place and you get to see BMO Field, which is where our soccer club TFC plays their home matches. Now I would recommend that you continue to keep driving west all the way to the west end of Toronto in Etobicoke, the Mimico area, so that you can stop, take a rest, and soak in the view of downtown Toronto and that path that you just took. It is absolutely stunning, gorgeous. It's a moment that you want to capture. It can be epic, it can rejuvenate your love for driving and for the city. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, whether you live in the city or you plan on visiting it someday. And I hope you get to come and enjoy our city as much as we love it here. And also, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, give us a like if you enjoyed this video. We would really appreciate it. And we hope you can get out for a drive this weekend with no particular place to go. And if you have any other comments or recommendations for other roads, we would love to hear it too. So please leave us a comment below so that other viewers can discover some other amazing roads that you could drive on all across the city. So thanks again for watching, guys, and we really appreciate it. Bye for now.